Before going into other things and details, I would request Professor Sheela Reddy to give her opinion and her review of the book. She is currently Dean of Academic Programs and Head of the Department of Political Science, Central University of Andhra Pradesh, Anantapuram. Before joining Central University, she was Principal of Sri Venkateswara College, Delhi University. She also held the Ambedkar Chair at IIPA, New Delhi. Her broad areas of interest include governance, public policy issues, and international relations.
Respected DG IIPA, Shri S.N. Tripathi ji, distinguished author, Shri Anil Swarup ji, the moderator of this session, Dr. Sachin Chowdhury, many friends across my former colleagues, Registrar IIPA, Shri Amitabh Ranjan ji, and IIPA participants, and other participants to the training programs, and other staff of IIPA, a very good morning to all of you. It is indeed a privilege to be part of this IIPA Literary Fest, that is Kartavya Dialogue. So let me take a few minutes before I delve into the task that has been assigned to me. I have spent 10 long years at IIPA, that is from 2011 to 2021, and professionally and personally it was a very fulfilling and enriching experience to me. And visiting Indian Institute of Public Administration is always a kind of homecoming to me. And you all could make it happen through this Kartavya Dialogue. And I'm really humbled and overwhelmed at the warm invitation of the DG IIPA, Shri S.N. Tripathi ji, and Professor Mishra sir and his team. Now coming to the book, You Can Make It Happen. Indeed, sir, I thoroughly enjoyed reading your book. I can assure you that I have read every page of the book. So that first I speak a bit about the title of the book. The title is very catchy and enthuses one to lay hand on it. And it is also very handy, not very voluminous. And it is around 250 plus pages. And what does the title signify? The title signifies a belief-driven positive approach and communicates a can-do solution-focused approach. We can say that the title is rooted in encouragement and possibility where optimism meets action. Sir, you communicate this spirit in a very simple, straightforward way. And indeed, I should say that this is a very frank, honest, and transparent exposition about your experiences and the strong conviction that you can make it happen. So before I go further, I should mention that as I attempted or I made an attempt to read the book, many thoughts crisscrossed my mind. I may slightly deviate to put things in perspective. In one of the upper sessions, apart from the faculty of IIPA handling the sessions, we invite some eminent resource persons. So I pick up the thread from where Sir started, that is blaming others. So in one of the sessions, a professor of public administration remarked while discussing about governance and public administration related issues that politicians blame bureaucrats, bureaucrats blame politicians, and he looked at me, we academicians blame both of them in classes. So this is what he said. Then he raised a question, where is the sense of ownership? So everything got rewinded in my thought process when I was looking at this book. And also we talk of, as DG IIPA mentioned, trust deficit in administration, governance deficit in administration, and criminalization of politics and politicization of bureaucracy. And there is also political intervention versus political interference. Political intervention is necessary to check, to ensure accountability and transparency, but political interference, it stifles the initiative of bureaucrat. Then we also talk about, the, I think very informally, we talk about the Babu culture in Indian bureaucracy. This is a term informally used but widely used once upon a time, still recently in public discourse. So, this is a style of administration often associated with rigidity, excessive hierarchy, and risk averse behavior of government officials. Also, another paradigm which came later about debureaucratization, which talks about minimum government and maximum governance. And of course, the latest is the reform of Indian civil service from a rule based to role based system. Of course, you have shared at length how you overcame bureaucratic and political obstacles to achieve what you conscientiously built, what you conscientiously felt was right. That I really appreciate. And capturing your vast and varied experience of your illustrious career of almost 4 decades, serving in various capacities, both in state and central government, the book certainly offers practical insights on many of the issues I mentioned earlier. In one of the chapters, when he talks about administrative reality, he mentions that frequent transfers can be highly debilitating. I'm reading a few lines, but they have become the norm in several states. If an officer is transferred frequently, not only he is unable to deliver, but also his responsibility cannot be fixed due to his inability to perform. This is one reason that has led to the politicization of bureaucracy. The politician is happy with it, but governance suffers. So, for the benefit of the audience who are yet to read the book, I would like to state that the book is divided into 4 broad parts: Part A, B, C, and D. Interestingly, Part A is about 1 chapter, like why it is challenging to make things happen. So we start the journey from that, and Part D is also 1 chapter, which states that you can make it happen. So how this journey goes, I very briefly share with all of you. So the Part A, that is segment A, it sets the context of the book, that is the first chapter, difficult to make it happen, and why it is challenging to make it happen. The challenges the author experienced during formative years of his career at times were tumultuous and difficult to make it happen anywhere. So I also take few lines from his book, page number 11, when he was posted in a jail department in a state. So regarding the management of the jails, he says that the state has evolved to a point when distinction between crime and politics was becoming increasingly blurred. Now, before I go into Part B of the book, Sir talked a lot about ideas. So there are plethora of ideas, and ideas are always great. Every new idea is refreshing, but they should be doable. How do ideas translate into reality? The other questions are, do ideas match reality? Are they grounded, doable, workable, viable? And what are the barriers between a vision and an execution? So Part B of the book, where he outlined the context, that is the political, social, emotional, technological, administrative, financial, and legal, and the environmentally sustainable. So he very beautifully says all those things in 8 chapters. So the segment B, with 8 chapters, exclusively devotes to all these 8 contexts. So he told about those things. Actually, I wanted to take the pleasure of saying these things, that how he explains the concepts, but I repeat once again because it appealed to me a lot. How ideas fructify. For any idea to fructify and sustain, it must be politically acceptable, socially desirable, emotionally relatable, technologically feasible, financially viable, administratively possible, legally tenable, and environmentally sustainable. So finally, before I close, I thought I would share one of the incident from page number 77. When you are assigned in an office to bring about some change in the office upkeep. So other aspects of office maintenance and functioning could be overhauled, but the real challenge was how to prevent people from using every corner of the office as spit on. So we decided to install tiles with images of diabetes in every corner, especially in those locations deemed most suitable for spitting. It did not cost much, but once these tiles were installed, there was no way anyone could spit on them. So friends, so what you can do yourself is more important. So the context may not change, how you adapt to the context is important. And for this, it is a must read, you can make it happen. Thank you for the opportunity.